Hello to our young pioneer historians on the second week of our Little House Book Club. We are so happy to be with you again this week. So I hope you really enjoyed reading the first 5 chapters of the book. We're going to do a little bit of a recap for you. Let's remember that the Ingalls traveled from Wisconsin to Kansas on their journey to settle in a new home through 5 different states, covering a total of almost 600 miles. When they left their home in Wisconsin, they had to say goodbye to their grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, knowing that they would likely never see them again. Wouldn't that be sad for you if you were told that you could never see your grandparents again? But that's what they had to live with. Much of the journey was rather boring for Laura and Mary, sitting in the back of a wagon, looking out at tall grasses and sweeping blue skies. But there were a few tense moments, such as when the family crossed a raging river and lost their beloved dog, Jack, which luckily they got back later on. But before we turn to our book reading, I want to know how many of you were able to identify the item that the pioneers used that we showed last week. If you're still having trouble, I want you to turn in your book, which I hope you have with you, to page 48 and look at the picture that's in the book. Notice Ma is using that item. What do you think she's doing? It has something to do with the laundry, if you haven't yet figured it out. But I understand that many of you have already figured it out and put your guess into the Fraser Farmstead Facebook page. And we want you to encourage you to get your answers in. After this video, we're going to do another video showing what our craft item in our kit is going to be, that Miss Jackie's going to be doing, and she's also going to show you yet another piece of things that the pioneers used that you can guess on for this week. So, we've also included in our kit this week 2 pages, front to back, of pioneer games that the kids back then used to play when they wanted to have fun. You know, back then they didn't have any electronic things like video games and TVs and phones and all that stuff that you guys have now to keep yourself entertained. So they had to find anything they could to have fun. So I have found 2 pages of games that pioneers used to play, pioneer kids used to play. Some of these things you can do all by yourself. Some of them are with just one other person or just a few other people. Some are with a big crowd if you're in like a family reunion or something. I want you to take a look at them. Pick 1 or 2. We were going to do this today when we were in our group, but obviously we can't have you here. So I want you to take a look at this and save it. And anytime you want to have fun without looking at a screen, take a look at it. So it's going to be in your kit.
Awesome.
Also, your kids are going to be here again. That was one thing I forgot to ask.
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Just Tuesday? Okay, tomorrow. So
10 to 2.
10 till 2, and so look forward to that. Okay, now I want you to grab your book, turn to page 71, which is chapter 6, which is the first chapter for this week. And the chapter is called Moving On. Follow along with me, please, while we read. The walls are up, Pa was saying to Ma in the morning. We'd better move in and get along as best we can without a floor or other fixings. I must build the stable as fast as I can so Pet and Patty can be inside walls too. Last night, I could hear wolves howling from every direction, seemed like, and close too. Well, you have your gun, so I'll not worry, said Ma. Yes, and there's Jack, but I'll feel easier in my mind when you and the girls have good, solid walls around you. Why do you suppose we haven't seen any Indians? Mom asked. Oh, I don't know, Pa replied carelessly. I've seen their camping places among the bluffs. They're away on a hunting trip now, I guess. Then Ma called, Girls, the sun's up. And Laura and Mary scrambled out of bed and into their clothes. Each Eat your breakfast quickly, Ma said, putting the last of the rabbit stew on their tin plates. We're moving into the new house today, and all the chips must be out. So they ate quickly and hurried to carry all the chips out of the house. They ran back and forth as fast as they could, gathering their skirts full of chips and dumping them in a pile near the fire. But there were still chips on the ground inside the house when Ma began to sweep it with her willow bough broom. Ma limped, though her sprained ankle was beginning to get well. But she soon swept the earthen floor, and then Mary and Laura began to help her carry things into the house. Pa was on top of the walls, stretching the canvas wagon top over the skeleton roof of saplings. The canvas billowed in the wind. Pa's beard grew blue wildly, and his hair stood up from his head as if he were trying to pull itself out, as if it were trying to pull itself out. He held onto the canvas and fought it. Once it jerked so hard that Laura thought he might let go and sail into the air like a bird. But he held tight to the wall with his legs and tight to the canvas with his hands, and he tied it down. There, he said to it. Stay where you are and be Charles, Ma said. She stood with her arms full of quilts and looked at him reprovingly. And be good, Pa said to the canvas. Why, Caroline, what did you think I was going to say? Oh, Charles, said Ma, you scallywag. Pa came right down the corner of the house. The ends of the logs stuck out, and he used them for a ladder. He ran his hand through his hair so that it stood up even more wildly, and Ma burst out laughing. Then he hugged her quilts and all. We're out of time for reading right now for our video, but you can finish chapter 6 and 7 through 10 on your own this week, and we look forward to seeing you next week.